All right. Let's go here. Okay. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another college football weekly podcast. This is probably going to be the last one for college until next season. I mean, I'll probably do some off-season ones, but this is kind of like the season finale for the podcast. Um, oh, whoops! I had the monitor going on at the same time. Anyway, uh, yeah, let's get right in. I'm going to be doing, college football playoff championship preview with Georgia and TCU. And then also the playoff games for the NFL is set. And yeah, that should be really exciting. Get into a little bit of that. And yeah. So I think let's just go over, the national championship. I don't think I've done a video about the semifinals. Yeah, those were some of the two of the best semifinals. I don't think we've really ever gotten two semifinals that are, like top tier. That was so exciting. I was traveling during New Year's Eve when the games were happening. So, I couldn't catch like everything, but it was definitely exciting. Really back and forth for both sides. And it really looked like Ohio State was going to win there with the Ohio State Georgia game. I was pretty surprised myself, and they just kind of choked it away, and Georgia found a way to win. A couple of things, a couple of bad, iffy coaching decisions. I think in the final drive with like clock management could have made the field goal a little more manageable for Ohio State. But what a game that was. A classic. And then the TCU Michigan game, that was just going back and forth. It was really insane. Michigan had no hold on the game though whatsoever, and Jim Harbaugh loses his second straight semifinal game, and this was the one that he was supposed to win. Against Georgia, you played the national championships. Okay, you get a pass. Georgia was more talented, but against TCU, I think Michigan was supposed to beat TCU. They were the number two seed. I think they might have been the number 2 seed against Georgia last year anyway, but yeah, they were supposed to win. I personally had Georgia and Michigan. I thought okay, this year is a year where we could maybe have just a national championship, Georgia and Michigan. But hey, this is what the playoff is for, and TCU is able to upset Michigan. And look, obviously, I don't know the the line on this game here. I can look it up really quick, but I wouldn't be surprised if TCU really wins this game, because they just kind of have lightning in a bottle right now. Georgia obviously is a lot more talented, but hey, so was Michigan. Yeah, so it's here. I'll share my screen here. It's the line is 13, and the over under is 63 points. Yeah, I would go. I don't know. I would go over, because considering that this Georgia defense, yes, it is dominant, but I think, this TCU defense, they could do a little bit of something, what they did against Michigan, and, get the special teams. If TCU is going to, really challenge this game, try to win this game, they're going to have to win on special teams. They're going to have to win on defense. The offense, hopefully will take care of itself. Duggan, I think, is a great quarterback, and this will be a really good matchup. But I think they need to be able to slow down the Georgia offense. I think the Georgia offense is really one of the more underrated parts of this Bulldog team, actually, because it's better than last year, and they're putting up a lot of points against some pretty good teams. I mean, yeah, they're just putting up a lot of points on pretty good teams. Stetson Bennett obviously was a Heisman finalist, I believe, and I think Duggan was too. But yeah, Georgia, uber talented. To me, yeah, I got Georgia probably on the whole spread of, probably by 2 touchdowns, maybe by 10. I could see this being kind of a lower scoring game though. I could see it kind of like a 31-17, 31-21 type of deal. Not as, high scoring as the TCU Michigan game. Yeah, I think I got Georgia winning again. They're just too dominant. Too dominant. And I think that Ohio State game was, a little bit of a fluke for Georgia. They got away with one. I think now, they're not going to underestimate TCU, I don't think, because everyone saw what TCU can do against Michigan, who's a very good team, who beat Ohio State soundly. So I don't think Georgia is going to really mess around with TCU very much. And I trust Kirby Smart in his coaching. And Jim Harbaugh in that game against TCU just made a couple dumb decisions. Try and trick plays on the goal line. Even the last play of the game, McCarthy wasn't ready, and it's been pointed out. But yeah, the coaching was a little off, and Michigan didn't seem to take TCU seriously. I don't know. They just didn't really take TCU as seriously as they should have, and I think Georgia will now see that game and be like, okay, let's take TCU seriously. Because if you remember, TCU lost against Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game. And so if I'm Michigan before the game, I'm thinking, what are these guys doing here? We beat Ohio State. We are very good. They're probably just looking ahead to playing Georgia. They wanted that rematch from last year's semifinal and kind of overlooked TCU. But I still have Georgia. Yeah, I just have Georgia winning. Not by a landslide, but by a good 10 points, two touchdowns maybe. Like pretty solidly. And I don't see it getting way out of hand. The thing where I think TCU needs to play another game like Michigan. It needs to be another game like against Michigan where it's just wild and anything can happen. And that was also in part to Michigan making quite a few mistakes all over the field, defensively, offensively, special teams, clock management, all of that. And they're going to need Georgia to make a few of those mistakes that Michigan did, and I don't see Georgia doing that. They're just too sound of a group of a team. And even if TCU can try to, outscore Georgia, I don't think they'll be able to because Georgia's offense is that good. They're that good. Georgia's offense is top tier. Yeah. And now you got Jim Harbaugh maybe looking into going into a new NFL head coaching job. You got, there's reports also of Jim Harbaugh maybe violating recruiting things with, it was like during the pandemic and he wasn't allowed to recruit during that, and he was. Things are looking a little shaky here for Jim Harbaugh, And it's kind of wild because it's been flip-flopping all over the place. If you think about it, just a few years ago, Jim Harbaugh was fighting to keep his job. People like on ESPN, like Paul Feinbaum were like, he should be fired. No success for Jim Harbaugh. He turns around, beats Ohio State last year, made it to the college football playoff, and then this year he goes out and beats Ohio State again in the horseshoe, and then we were like, okay, yeah, Jim Harbaugh is for real. And then he puts this game up against TCU. This was supposed to be the year where Harbaugh goes for that championship. And this time he kind of disappointed because there was, some big expectation and they falter. But we'll see what Harbaugh does. I think just to make it clear, Harbaugh should be fired. Oh, Harbaugh is great. Oh, what's going on with Harbaugh now? There's some recruiting issues. Maybe he's going to the NFL. Oh, he's kind of a choker in these playoff games. So we will see with Jim Harbaugh. We will see. Now let's go over to the NFL. Let's go over to the NFL. And it's been an exciting few weeks. It always gets pretty exciting when you get down to these final playoff moments. Last night, Green Bay chokes. Aaron Rodgers. What do you throw, like 3 or 4 interceptions? Here, let's go look it up real quick here. Let's go to like the scores. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, did I say Jim Harbaugh? Aaron Rodgers. Wow, I was definitely expecting him to get in the playoffs. Hey, it's Aaron Rodgers. And now that might have been the final time that we see Rodgers at Lambeau in a Packers jersey, which is kind of crazy. He only threw 1 interception, but he didn't have that great of a day. It wasn't that great. He had a QBR of 38, it looks like. Or the rating was 83, I guess. But look, this receiving crew for Green Bay is just not that good. And I think it's so funny because the Lions, they got knocked out because Seattle won earlier in the day. And they didn't care. They just wanted to play spoiled to their division rivals. And I think that's one of the great things about the NFL is just that, the Lions, they didn't care. They just wanted to spoil their division rivals' hopes of getting into the playoffs, I think this is kind of funny. But the Lions, a very good surprising year. I kind of would have liked to see the Lions in the playoffs though. Instead, we get Seattle and San Francisco, which should be good. This is quite a few, like division rivals facing off here. We have in the 2-7 spot, we got Seattle versus San Francisco, and then going over to the AFC, it's Cincinnati versus Baltimore, and then Miami versus Buffalo. We will see if Lamar Jackson can come back. And with Lamar Jackson and Tua Tagovailoa, they got injured. Both teams have kind of fallen off, but they were able to make the playoffs. They able to make it. We'll see if either of those guys can come back. I think, I don't know if it's very safe for Tagovailoa to play, even if he kind of has like a slight concussion. Just keep him out. Looking through, what is my favorite matchup? Besides Seattle and San Francisco, I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm just going to be looking forward to that anyway. Matchup that most intrigues me is, this is interesting. I really like this Cowboys versus Buccaneers. I think, the Cowboys should be favored, but don't ever count out Tom Brady. And I have a feeling that Tom Brady could maybe make a run or something. Let's say Brady and the Buccaneers, they're at home, they're able to beat Dallas. And then let's say, there's an upset and the Giants beat the Vikings. That would mean Philadelphia would play the Giants, and then the Bucs would play like either 49ers or Seahawks. Who knows what could happen then with Tom Brady facing this stacked 49ers team. He'll be all up against all the odds for sure, but I'm sure somehow Tom Brady could get it done. But it will be tough because there's the Eagles and the Niners, I think, are by far the favorites, and Niners just missed out on having that 1 seed. And that 1 seed is just incredibly, favored. And when it was the 1 and 2 seed, it kind of like, to me, it kind of like made sense. Like, okay, they're the two best teams, but now there's only one team that gets a far and away the biggest advantage of just not straight up not having to play one of the games. I think you could justify there being 8 teams in that make it in each conference, and then having everyone play, and it being kind of like the NBA except just one game. It will be half the teams get in. Theoretically. And then, you got everyone playing the same amount of games. The one seed still has an advantage. They'll have home field advantage throughout, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of also liked that it was just really hard to get into the playoffs in the NFL with there being only 6 teams in each conference. Now the 7 unit kind of opening things up. And if you're gonna go to 7, might as well just go to 8. And then looking on the AFC side, the Bengals were kind of robbed of that number 1 seed because, if I'm correct, they didn't get to play. The whole rules with after the game, I think it was on Monday night with DeMar Hamlin. It's good to see that he's getting better, by the way. But that they changed the rules, and then they I don't think Cincinnati can play another game. It was really weird, and they end up with the 3 seed and they play Baltimore. We'll see what happens there. I think a really interesting matchup will be Chargers and Jaguars. We'll see if Justin Herbert can maybe come into his own here in the playoffs for the Chargers. And Jacksonville, the Jaguars, they win their division, get into the playoffs. I think this is their first time in the playoffs since 2017 when they had like Jalen Ramsey, maybe Miles Jack. I think he was kind of like a rookie. It was called like the Sackville Jaguars. So yeah, cool to see Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, he was tired of losing for that first little bit. Now Jaguars back into the playoffs, and maybe they could make a run, because if I remember in 2017 they made it to, I think, like the AFC Championship game and played the Patriots. So they could definitely, maybe they could make a run. Here, I guess I haven't thought about this, but I could do my kind of like predictions right off the bat here. Can I do the predictions right off the bat? Let me check the YouTube here. Football Weekly podcast. This is probably going to be the last one. Here, we'll turn it down. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let's go to the predictions. I think. Here we'll start at the top here. Chargers and Jaguars. I think I gotta give it the Chargers. They're just kind of the better team. I want to say Jaguars. They got the home field advantage. I mean, hey, who knows what could happen? Maybe a little bit of lightning in the bottle. If they're winning their division. Man, what happened? You can really say what happened for the Titans. My goodness. Obviously the injuries in the QB side and stuff like that, but still, man, Titans, you guys, loss after loss. It was basically opposite of the 49ers. But I got Chargers in that one. Baltimore versus Cincinnati. I'm still not sure if Lamar Jackson is playing. Here I can check really quick. Either way, though, I think I have the Bengals. It just says he could be back. But I don't know if, I like a player right back after a long, time out for injury. Bengals are at home. They're solid team. I think I got them. And then the Bills, they're playing with a lot of heart right now. I think I got the Bills. The Dolphins, Miami got to go up to Buffalo and play in that cold. Maybe having Tua Tagovailoa, maybe not. And, just even if he's in there, he's got a partial concussion. I just like the Bills. Moving on to the NFC side, I like the Buccaneers. Kind of a pulling the upset. I wouldn't bet against Tom Brady, especially when he's been being looked down upon. There was a moment there, the Bucs going to be in the playoffs. They're doing really bad, but kind of lucky for them. Their division is maybe the worst. You got the AFC South with the Jaguars, but also the NFC. Is it NFC South? Yeah, the NFC South. With Saints, Panthers, the Buccaneers, they just get in default, and I don't even think they have a better record than the Cowboys here. We can do like a little preview thing. Maybe it'll tell us a little bit, but Tampa Bay's actually, I don't know the whole like line things too much. I don't know what's the difference between the plus and the minus. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I like the Buccaneers. Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. Hey, New York could make some noise. I wouldn't say no to an upset there with the Giants. And then 49ers, Seahawks. 49ers are just on a freaking roll right now, bro. So I got the 49ers for sure. Looking through, I think, in the next rounds, if the 49ers end up playing someone like the Vikings, that could be some trouble. Obviously, the Eagles. But I feel like overall in the NFL is very top heavy. You look at like the top 3 teams for the AFC and the top 3 teams for the NFC. You got for the NFC, it's, Eagles, 49ers, and maybe Vikings. You could see all going to the Super Bowl. Everyone else, there's got to be some wild upsets going on there. And then for the AFC as well, Chiefs, good as always. And then Bills and Bengals. Those 3 teams have consistently just owned the AFC, and again, they're the top 3 seeds. So, yeah. I think it could be going down kind of interesting in these first few rounds, but by the end, I would expect, any of those 6 teams to be in the Super Bowl. As good as Tom Brady is, I don't see him getting out of this wild NFC here with all these teams that, honestly, looking through all these teams, maybe besides Seattle, I think are better than Tampa Bay. Really. Yeah. I think that's going to do it. Man, this was a long... Oh, I didn't really record, so I don't know if I'll be able to put this on Spotify, but yeah, definitely I'll be coming out with more podcasts. Definitely stick around on the channel. Probably some reactions to like the playoff games, like I kind of was first starting in the channel actually, with reactions to last year's playoff games, where the Bills got robbed by the Chiefs with the overtime rules. Wow, that was such a good game. I think it was the divisional round. But yeah, definitely I'll be probably doing some more reactions with that. And yeah, I think Georgia gonna be the champs in college football side. And hey, I'm rolling with the 49ers for Super Bowl chance, my team. This is as good as a year as ever for the Niners to win it. They got McCaffrey. They went all in on McCaffrey. The defense is the number 1 defense. And hey, I'm riding the Brock Purdy train. We will see. That'd be crazy if a third string comes in and wins it. He could pull kind of like a Nick Foles or something from the Eagles. But yeah, it's going to be I think this is going to be one of the more exciting NFL playoffs. So many good teams in here, and a lot of possibility for upsets. And I'm excited because the Niners are doing really good right now. I think nine straight wins for them going into these playoffs. So yeah, thank you all for watching and listening, and keep tuned here.